Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. My name's Vicky Marie, and I talk about crime or mysterious things or missing people, unsolved mysteries. If you think that's something you might be interested in, please subscribe. Please remember to like this video and press the notification bell so you get notifications about future videos. Now, what I'm going to talk about in this video, technically, as far as we know, is not a crime. So it's not technically a crime video, but it certainly is a mystery. We're going to talk about Peter Bergmann, a man who nobody really knows who he really is. So this is a man that was found dead on a beach in Sligo in Ireland, in Southern Ireland, or Ireland, and nobody knows what his real name was. It turns out he probably was not called Peter Bergmann, though that's what he checked into his hotel as. And it's a complete mystery as to why he went to Sligo, why he disposed of most of his possessions while he was there, who he sent at least 8 letters to. And to this day, we still do not know what happened. Or, well, we know what happened. We don't know why it happened, and we don't know Peter's real identity. And this happened in 2009. So quite a long time ago now. It seems unlikely that we ever will get any more knowledge of what happened to Peter, but maybe one day. Now, I just want to show you this because this is, I suppose you'd call it it's not an identikit really, is it? I don't know, but there is a photo of Peter, of his actual deceased face on Wikipedia, which I've decided not to show on this video. But I suppose it's been put there with the hope that somebody may identify Peter and his real identity. But from that, this drawing has been made. It's a very good likeness, because I've seen the actual photo on Wikipedia. It's a very good likeness. This is what it's thought that Peter, or whoever Peter was, would have looked like, the way he dressed, his glasses, etc. But we're going to see some CCTV of him anyway. See if we can put anything together. Now, as I say, this happened in Sligo. Now, Sligo is right up in the north of Ireland. Let's have a look. So we can see, here it is, here's Sligo. If I expand the map out, we can see here's the border to Northern Ireland. So it's really very close to the Northern Irish border. If we take the map out, we can see this is Ireland, the United Kingdom, and Sligo's right up here in the northern part. Now, to me, the biggest mystery of this whole thing is why Sligo, because this man reportedly spoke English, but had a thick German or Austrian accent. So what is his connection to Sligo? Or had he just gone there on holiday? I mean, there's always a possibility that there's nothing mysterious about this whole thing, and he'd just gone there on holiday and it's just coincidence that he happened to die there. That is one possible theory, isn't it? But still, his actions were very strange because he was gradually disposing of his possessions in the few days that he was there staying at the hotel. And what he did finally is he went out to Ross's Point, this point at the beach there, and that's where his body was found the following morning. So that's what we're going to talk about. So let's chat about that. Now, Sligo itself is the name of Sligo is from right. I'm going to totally butcher this pronunciation. I'm so sorry. I know I've got quite a lot of Irish followers. So sorry. I am a quarter Irish myself, but I have no idea how to pronounce this. But it apparently comes from the Irish name of Sligaich, be completely wrong, which apparently means a shelly place or abundant with shells, because Sligo is famous for its shellfish, etc., and to do anything to do with shells. So it's the anglicisation of that Gaelic name that has given Sligo its name. Now, what this to me is the why Sligo? Of all places, was he just happened to be living roundabout and decided to go there? If he's got this heavy German accent or uh, um, Austrian accent, the address he gave at the hotel that he checked into was in Austria, but it seems like that place doesn't exist. The police were unable to trace the address and, unable to trace him, apparently. So why Sligo, of all places? Maybe because it is a quiet place. Is that why he went there? Was he already living in Ireland? There's so much we don't know about this man. Did he travel there expressly to take his own life? Did he take his own life? So there's so many questions about this. And to me, just thinking about rationally, and of course this is Vicky Marie chat, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to chat about it. And every opinion I give is just that, an opinion, a theory. Sometimes I get feelings about things. If I got a feeling about this guy, when I first heard about it, I thought there's some war connection or some army connection. Now, for no absolute reason, that was just a feeling that came. So I have no reason to think that. That's just something that struck me. But also, surely for him to go to Sligo, I suppose the romantic in me wants to think, was there some reason why he chose Sligo? Did his family come from there originally? Did he fall in love there once years ago? Or, have a girlfriend or a wife? So why Sligo? I feel like there must be some connection to Sligo, some sentimental connection for him wanting to end his life there. Otherwise, why would you just go to, no disrespect to Sligo, but unless he was living close by, which I think is unlikely because this case has had so much attention in Ireland, at least. Maybe not worldwide attention, though it has been on, I originally saw about it on a YouTube channel that has like millions of viewers all over the world. So, and it's a big thing that is talked about a lot on Reddit and those kind of things. I've seen YouTube videos about that in German, in all different languages. But certainly in Ireland, it was a big thing. There was a big appeal. There was a long investigation by the Gardaí after he was found deceased to try and find it, not because they thought there was foul play, but to try and find his relatives, and to no avail. So I don't think he could have lived around there, because surely somebody would have known him, unless he was living a very lonely life where he just ended up somewhere where he didn't know anybody or have any connections. So yeah, it made me wonder if he just wanted to go to a place that he could connect with. Could he connect to Sligo for some reason? Anyway, whatever the reason, that's where he went on the 12th of June 2009. He went to Ulster Bus Depot in Derry sometime between 14:30 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he got on a bus to Sligo. So he was actually he was in Northern Ireland when he got on that bus. And he was carrying a black shoulder bag and a standard carry-on luggage bag when he got on that bus. Now, a lot of his movements have been able to be traced through CCTV. Obviously, it's taken, it will have taken time during the investigation after his death, when nobody came forward to claim his body or report him missing, etc. An investigation was launched. So there's quite a lot been put together, because there's a lot of CCTV evidence been put together, and we're going to look at that. So then apparently at 1828 or around that time, he arrived at Sligo bus station and he got a taxi to the Sligo City Hotel. Now that hotel, oh, hang on, wrong one. Where is it? Too many windows as usual. Oh, I thought I must have moved off it. So the Sligo City Hotel is now called something else now. Looks very nice. It's located in the heart of Sligo town, adjacent to O'Connell Street, but is now called, let's have a look at it. It's now called The Address. Yeah, Sligo City Hotel is now called The Address as well, just so if you ever not sure why that is. But it's a nice hotel. Sligo looks like a lovely city. Yeah. So he got a taxi from the bus depot and off he went to the Sligo City Hotel. And he arrived there at 28 minutes past 6. And they know this from CCTV. And booked in. Now, he had not pre-booked. He was what the hotel receptionist described as a walk-in. Yeah, he hadn't booked his stay there. He didn't reserve it. And he booked in under the name Peter Bergmann, and he paid night by night in cash. Okay, so he stayed there a couple of nights until he was found sadly deceased. But he paid each day, he paid by cash. Interesting, isn't it, really? Because people don't normally do that, do they? You'd either pay at the beginning if you know how long you're going to be there, or you'd pay at the end. So he gave his name as Peter Bergmann with 2 N's, and he gave an address in Austria, which, as I said, the police have said doesn't exist. They say that they've tried to trace that address and it doesn't exist. And apparently he spoke English with a thick German accent. So let's just have a look at this document. We're going to have a brief look at this documentary, a very good documentary about it. The Last Days of Peter Bergmann, One Man's Mysterious Haunting Exit. So this was him when he arrived to book in at the hotel. He's well dressed. Now, they described him as in his 50s or 60s. I think he could be older than that, but maybe not. Let's just have a little listen to what the policeman...
That's the name he used. That's the name he signed, with an address in a city called Wien, or Wien, in Austria. He didn't provide any documentary proof of his identity. We know from inquiries with the Austrian police that such an address does not exist, nor has it done so for.
So he didn't provide any ID. I'm surprised he got away with that, to be honest. I thought you always had to provide ID in hotels, some kind of ID, But anyway, never mind. So I'm going to leave that video playing in the background while I tell you a bit more about the story. So there's a lot of CCTV you can see. This is him going to his room. Now, the reason I've titled this "The Man with the Purple Carrier Bag" or "The Man with the Purple Plastic Bag" is because what he did was on 13 separate occasions, Peter left the hotel carrying a purple carrier bag that appeared to have things in it. And then when he returned later on, he brought back the carrier bag, or the plastic bag. It wasn't always seen that it's thought that he must have emptied it, folded it up and put it in his pocket, because he then went out with it again following that. So he obviously still had look, there he is. He's got his purple carrier bag. And he would go out. It's obviously got things in it. He would go out. And then when he returned, it would seem that he did not have that bag with him, or he must have had it in his pocket or whatever, because he still had that bag till the last moment when he checked out of that hotel. So he kept the bag, but he left, as I say, left the hotel on no less than 13 separate occasions with this purple bag with things in it, and came back, looked like he wasn't carrying anything, but probably he'd emptied the bag and put it in his pocket. Now, the police think he was aware of the CCTV cameras because they have no CCTV of him discarding any items. Whereas they've got CCTV. Look, so he would come back like this, go out with the purple bag like that, and then come back later without it. So what had he done with those items? So the police did search, but of course, don't forget, by the time Peter had died and they'd waited a certain amount of time to see if anyone claimed his body or reported him missing, by the time they actually got into the investigation, time had passed. So if Peter had disposed of things in rubbish, etc., it will have been taken away, presumably. They never found anything that he thought to have been discarded by Peter, and they never never saw any CCTV actually showing him throwaway items, just the CCTV of him leaving with the bag and returning without it. So you can see that he's dressed, quite smartly, really, isn't he? He's not very casual. Jacket, shirt, etc. So where was he going with that? What was in that purple bag? What are the items that he was discarding? I mean, it's thought that he was discarding, parts of his life or proof of his identity, almost erasing himself for whatever reason. Why do people do things like that? This case reminded me a bit of the Christmas tree lady. If you don't know about that, if you put it in the search engine for my channel, it will come up with the Christmas tree lady. It was a case we looked at Christmas, and a similar thing. Somebody just taking themselves from this world, but not wanting anyone to know about it. But the irony of it is, in their sort of bid to be anonymous and to be private, they actually made themselves public, because the sort of the secretive way that Peter behaved. And the same with the Christmas tree lady. Eventually they did find out her identity, because that sort of set people off on a quest to find out who they were, if that makes sense. So their very desire to be anonymous, to be private, made them public, really. So, and then on Saturday, the 13th of June, he went to the local post office at 10:49, and he bought 8 82-cent stamps and airmail stickers to go along with them. Now, it's presumed that he sent then 8 letters, because they had airmail stickers, you can presume that they were going abroad. but nothing is known about what letters were sent, where they were sent to. It's only known of what he bought the stamps. And so it's presumed, that he sent the letters. Then on the 14th, at approximately 8 a.m., oh, sorry, is that 6 a.m.? Sorry, my eyesight, I've got all my notes here. He asked the taxi driver where would be a nice, quiet beach where he could go for a swim. And the driver took him to Ross's Point. Let's just watch a little bit more of this video before we have a look at Ross's Point.
Now, we were never able to establish where those letters were posted, to who the letters were posted, or when he posted them. But certainly he had obviously correspondence to send to someone somewhere.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot of CCTV of him during that time. Now, what this lady's talking about is there did a day when they tried to get in his room and knocked on the door and he didn't answer. So after several attempts, they were worried about him, and she went up there with the key and went in, and he was in the room. And she said that he looked startled, obviously, when she just walked in the room. But she said he looked like he was relieved it was her. That's the feeling she got, that he was relieved that it was someone from the hotel and not somebody else, because when she first walked in, he was really startled and nervous. But you know what? That might be just explained. Or was he, worried that somebody had found where he was? A lot of people have the conjecture that he may have been a spy, which is always possible. You know what? Anything's possible, isn't it? There are spies. There's no reason why he should not have been a spy just as much as anybody else. I don't know, but I do feel he's got some army connection. There's some army thing here just floating around in my head. And why was he so... but maybe not. Maybe he's just a very lonely person who had nobody really. And you'll find out later that there are reasons why he may have wanted to take his own life. So yeah, she's just telling the story of when they went and went into the room because he wasn't answering. So they were worried about him. It's like that in hotels, isn't it? A lot of people use hotels for all sorts of things. They go to hotels to delete themselves. Anyway, apparently, apart from that incident, he was just very quiet. He didn't engage with anybody in the hotel. He would say hello and be polite, hello and goodbye, etc. But he didn't engage in any conversation. He was a constant smoker. He was always outside having a cigarette, so he liked to smoke. But he didn't engage with anybody. So they're here now. They're going on to talk about the day that he got in the taxi, asked the taxi driver to take him somewhere nice, where he could have a quiet beach, he asked for, where he could have a swim. And the taxi driver took him to Ross's Point, which it's showing you here. It looks very beautiful place. And I suppose, oh gosh, it is beautiful, isn't it? Very beautiful. Yeah. Interesting. So while he was there, people, not that day, but the following day, he did not get out of the taxi there and go for a swim on that day. He seemed pleased with where the taxi driver had taken him to, and he then returned back. I was going to say home, but at that time, the hotel was home. He returned home, and that was it for that day. The following day, which was Monday, the 15th of June. So he'd been there at the hotel for a couple of days, and that's when he checked out of the hotel. and handed in his room key the following day. Again, just polite, there he goes, handed in his, I felt like there, is he handing in his key there, or is he going off with a plastic bag there? Looks sort of a little bit agitated on this one. Looking at his watch. That must be another day when he went out. He's got his purple bag there with him. He would come back without it. 13 times he did that. So anyway, that following morning, after the taxi driver had taken him to see the beach, he handed in his key, paid up, and he left with a black shoulder bag, the purple plastic bag, and a different luggage bag from the one that he had with him when he came to Sligo. So what happened to the other one, and why did he change bags? Strange, isn't it? Anyway, he then walked to the bus station and via Key Street and Wine Street. If any of you live in that area, you'll know those streets, I presume. And at 13:38, he ordered a cappuccino and a toasted ham and cheese sandwich at the bus station. As he was eating, and I'll show you that now, actually, we're going to see that on here. Now, this is one of, let's just see what he did with this particular time. There he is with his purple bag. Where was he going with it? He seemed to be aware of the CCTV cameras. There is no CCTV coverage of him disposing of anything from the purple bag. Look, he looked at the camera there, I think. What's he doing? Thinking, which way shall I go today? Dressed quite smartly, as usual. And it looks quite bulky there, the carrier bag, doesn't it? So, but anyway, when he returned, he didn't have it with him. So, let's see. Oh, I want to get to the day he left now. Oh, he's off again with his plastic bag. Oh, that's the day he left. So you can see what he's got with him. He's got the purple carrier bag again, filled up with stuff. He's got the bag over his shoulder and then another bag. And he hands in his keys and off he goes. And he goes to the bus station and he has a cappuccino and a toasted sandwich. Now, while he's eating, he takes out several pieces of paper out of his pocket. And you can see there, he looks at them and then he tears them up. What was on those pieces of paper? There's sort of curiosity in me, just wants to know. So he took them out of his pocket, read them, whatever it was on them, ripped them up, and then threw them in the bin, presumably. But of course, by the time it was realised what he'd done, those bins will have been taken away. He then got on a bus and off he went to Ross's Point. And he arrived there at 15:20. He was seen by 16 different people. Now, some of which said that he was dressed strangely for the beach, in their opinion. He still had his bag with him, but they said he was dressed strangely for the beach. In other words, because he was dressed so smartly, with his jacket, etc. He looked a little bit out of place. So apparently he greeted people as he walked past them. He said hello. Just nothing apart from the way he was dressed. Just
Certainly took both of our attentions, I suppose.
And 30 minutes later, we were on our return. And I said to Fiona, that guy is still on the beach. It looks strange.
So, of course, it's getting later now, but he's still on the beach as everybody else is going
I noticed
home.
this man, and he was fully clothed. He has his trousers rolled up to his knees, and he was walking parallel to the water with his bare feet, with his ankle deep in the water. And he just seemed to be kind of a bit stooped with his hands behind his back as if he was in another world.
It was highlighted by virtue of the fact that he was walking across the sunbeam parallel to the beach, but right through this beam of sunlight.
And it was amazing because when he actually walked into the light of the sunbeam, he turned to gold as well.
It's like a legend is born here. So they're saying he was walking into the sunbeam as the sun was going down, and then as he walked through it, he turned gold as well. It's like some film, isn't it? So it was, put it this way, it was striking enough that these people remember it. I mean, you see a lot of people, don't you, on the beach? And you would notice if they were doing something strange or different. So that couple said he had his trousers rolled up at the time. So where was he going? Was he intending to walk into the sea? Now, it's important to note that the following morning, when he was found deceased, he was not wet. So, although he was dressed for swimming, he was not wet. So, it seemed like he hadn't actually been in the water. Anyway, so he was seen by 16 people and he greeted everyone casually. And the next day, which was Tuesday, the 16th of June, 6:45 a.m., he was found, or his body was found, by Arthur Kinsella and his son Brian. His son, Arthur's son, was training for a marathon, a triathlon, or one of those kind of things. Let's see if we'll hear them talking briefly. Oh, here's somebody else that saw him talking. Saw him.
And was walking down the ramp, obviously, to come onto the beach when we first encountered him. He had grey hair, black leather jacket, pale enough skin. He didn't really say anything to us. We said hello to him. He nodded back and he didn't say anything else. Only for the fact that it was 10:30, 11 o'clock, I would have completely forgotten about it, just like any other encounter I have with any other person every day.
Yeah, so he was still there on the beach at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And that man had gone with his wife to walk their dog, and of course noticed him, because who's on the beach without a dog, especially? Well, they were just going for a last minute walk of the dog. It's still a bit late, isn't it? But what was he doing there at that time? So now we're on to Tuesday, the 16th of June.
My son Brian was preparing for a triathlon. So the reason we're here for 6:30 was that he would get his training over early in the morning. And apart from that, I walk the beach every day.
So this guy's training for a triathlon. He's there with his dad, who walks the beach every day. And there they were at 6:45 the next morning. So this is Arthur Kinsella and his son Brian. And it was they who found the body.
The fog was beginning to lift, and I noticed this, something from a shop window, like a mannequin that was in.
People always say that, don't they? So I thought it was a mannequin at first. That's a common thing that people say.
The sand, and of course, as I got closer, I realised it was actually a person, and that he seemed to have drowned. That was a little shock for the system.
I suppose in a way you go into autopilot mode and do what you have to do, alert the Gardaí.
So they said it looked like he drowned, but he had not drowned. Though in the post-mortem, he apparently wasn't wet. And also in the post-mortem, there were no signs of drowning. That was not his cause of death. Thought that he had a heart attack. Maybe, just before it, but he was dressed for swimming. So let me tell you what he was wearing. So he was wearing purple stripe Speedo swimming trunks with underpants over the top. And then tucked in was a navy t-shirt tucked into them. So it's a strange sort of... So we don't know if he died the night before or he died early that morning. Maybe the cold, maybe he was intending to go in the water and do something to himself. And then maybe just the exposure in the cold, because he had a heart problem. It turned out he'd had problems with his heart. They could see that from the post-mortem, that he'd had heart issues. So maybe his heart just gave out before he went into the water. But he had no wallet, no money, and no ID. So this guy and his son, they said a prayer.
I said to Brian, would you join me in saying the Lord's Prayer?
Oh.
Which he did. And we said the little prayer, and it brought a little bit of serenity or calmness to the situation.
So they said a prayer over him, bless, and I hope he was looking down to see that somebody cared somewhere along the line enough to say a prayer for him. That's so sweet, isn't it? It really is sweet. I think that's a very sort of Irish or British thing to do as well. That's definitely, I do that when I see cats or rabbits that are killed on the road or whatever, say little prayers. Put a bag, a sort of put a bag around them. What I mean is, I visualize, them going up to heaven, a little cross, and send them off up into heaven, because it's like it's just a nice thing to do, isn't it? It's just, I think it's lovely that they said a prayer for that guy, because he obviously didn't have anybody that he felt that he could go to in his hour of need, because it took, you'll see. So when the forensic examination was done, well, first of all, let's just watch the video. I'm going to turn the sound down though, because it'd be copyright if I leave it on for too long. Because they're going to show you what they found with his body. That was the blue T-shirt, I think, that he was wearing that was tucked. It looks big, doesn't it? It looks big because he was a very slight man. So those were the Speedos there. Now, an interesting thing was it's thought that all his clothes were C&A, which, of course, C&A you don't have in Britain anymore. That's where it is in Europe. But all the labels were cut out of his clothes. Now, people are saying this is a way of, maybe secrecy for him. But, I think it's common for people to cut labels out their clothes because they are irritating, especially these days when you get really thick labels, about 4 different labels all sewn in. Also, you might not want anyone to know what size you are, I don't want someone to know that you're XXL, or not that he looked XXL because he was very slender, but there's all sorts of reasons why somebody may cut out the labels, because although I think they could still tell that the clothes were from C&A, but ultimately they wouldn't really give anything away about your identity, would they? Unless they had like your name on them or something. But so, those were the clothes he was found with. I think it'll show you, I've got somewhere, there were some other things found. I'm going to show you those in a minute, but that's actually what he was wearing. Let's see, it's near the end now, this. So, so he's a regular smoker. There's lots of the CCTV captured him many, many times going out and smoking. But the forensic report showed that actually he was in very, very bad health. He had prostate cancer, very advanced prostate cancer. he had tumours in his bones, and he had heart disease. But he was not taking any medication, or at least no medication was found in his system. So the forensic people said they thought that he would have been in a lot of pain because of his various illnesses. He probably was experiencing a lot of pain, but he had no medication whatsoever in his system. So the police went on, did this 5-month investigation, didn't find anything, any clues as to where he came from, why he was there. You know, eventually the cause of death was given as a heart attack because there was no evidence of drowning, there was no evidence of foul play. You know, it seemed like he was on his own when he went there to the beach, and it seemed like he was intending to go into the water. So was he intending on taking his own life? And then maybe he just had a heart attack and died naturally because of the exposure. And even though it was in June and it was probably warmer than a lot of times in the year, it still would have been pretty cold, wouldn't it, for an elderly, infirm? I mean, to be honest, but if he was between 55 and 65, he's not that elderly. But it sounds like he had a lot of health issues. So, and the smoker, you know, he was a big smoker. Maybe the good Lord just took him before he had a chance to do it to himself. Okay, I'm going to let me just see, was there another couple of things I wanted to show you? No. So what do you think? As I say, on the Wikipedia page for Peter Bergmann, you will see an actual photo of Peter, so-called Peter. You know, we have to call him Peter because we have no idea what his actual name was, but we can presume that his name wasn't actually Peter Bergmann. Where was he from? Was he from Austria? So he'd given this address in Austria that turned out, the police said, turned out to not exist. But then some people say that the police didn't investigate it properly. It wasn't passed to Interpol properly. You know, there's a lot of conspiracy theories online, as I say. Was he a spy? Or was it just a very sad, lonely man who decided to go to Sligo? To me, as I say, the crux for me is why Sligo? Out of all the places in the world, why would, let's presume he's German or Austrian because he had a German accent, whatever, even if that address wasn't correct, that was his accent. Why did he go to Sligo? What was his connection to Sligo? There's got to be some sentimental connection there. I can't believe he just put a pin in the map of the world to a place, you know, that he would go to, you know, where there was a quiet beach. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why? He could have gone anywhere. He could have gone to a place in Austria or Germany, or did he want to go to a completely unknown place? So it was either somewhere that he had a sentimental attachment to, so he wanted to end his life there. You know, I was sort of thinking about it, and I thought, yeah, I can see that. Like if you were planning to do something to yourself, it makes sense to go to a place that you felt happy, to your happy place, really, isn't it? A place where you felt free. That's where you would want to go and do it. A place where you felt happy. You know, is that logical that you would do that? Had he been to Sligo at some point, and had very fond memories of it? Why Sligo of all the places? Why? And yeah, maybe he just wanted to go somewhere else from where he lived because he didn't want to be identified. And then, of course, the question is, where did those 8 stamps, what were they used for? What letters did he send? Why has nobody come forward to talk about, you know, to say that Let's have a look at him. Why isn't it? He looks a bit like Paul O'Grady, doesn't he, on that photo? If people don't know him, he's a British comedian who sadly he died not that long ago. A lovely man. Anyway, he looks a little bit like that. But yeah, why is this photo now, or this sort of kit photo, a reconstruction from his actual body, is all over the internet now. Why has nobody identified him? And of course, all the CCTV, all the information this is a pretty famous case now. And I wanted to tell you all about it because it's intriguing. And I'm going to light a candle for Peter, or whatever his name is. Listen, I just hope he's at peace. I mean, he chose a beautiful place. I mean, you could see how beautiful that beach was. He chose a beautiful place to go to, and if that's the last sight that you have in your life, there are worse ways of departing this earth, aren't there? So rest in peace, Peter. I just literally hope you are at peace. I hope, maybe it was because he knew he was ill and he was going to need a lot of care. Maybe he just didn't have anybody to care for him. Maybe he didn't want to go to hospital. He didn't want to end up on chemo or see, now he's taking no medication whatsoever. Maybe he didn't want to take any. Maybe he'd been told he needed to go on chemo or something and just didn't want to do it, and he decided to take the decision himself. And then, as I say, God took the decision out of his hands and he had a heart attack before he could go into the sea and do it to himself. It's a very intriguing story. And as I say, I just hope he's at peace. And, it's not a crime to take your own life, is it? And in these sort of circumstances, you sort of can understand why he would want to do it. But why be so secretive? It's like he didn't want anyone to know who he was, disposing of all his possessions, etc. Maybe he took them to charity shop or something, but I don't know what they were. Was it paperwork? It could have been paperwork, couldn't it, in those purple carrier bags? Maybe it was just all the proof of his existence. Maybe he just didn't want anyone to know who he was, but that's why, Anyway, so what happened in the end? He was buried finally, after the investigation, I think, went on for about 3 to 5 months. And he was buried, and the only people that went to his funeral were 4 Gardaí, who went, 4 police officers, went and paid their respects. So it wasn't nobody there, which is nice. And I think, people do sort of care. As I say, that nice man and his son saying a prayer for Peter, that's nice. That's made me a bit emotional. Because, there are nice people in the world, but, there's a lot of lonely people out there. Probably quite a lot of Peters out there who live alone and don't have anybody for whatever reason. There's all sorts of reasons you can end up like that, I suppose. Anyway, obviously had means. Where was he getting his money from? He was staying at that hotel and paying in cash every day. He had the money to go. I don't think he was nicely dressed. He obviously had some money. So what's happened to whatever money he had? Who's he left it to? And who were those letters to? So the things that intrigue me the most are, 1, why Sligo in the first place? And 2, who did those letters go to? Those 8 stamps and airmail stamps that Peter Bergmann bought. Where did they go? Who did they go to? Did he have family? So, okay, so that is the story of Peter Bergmann, or Peter Bergmann. That's the only name we've got for him. Please leave comments. Tell me what you think. What happened to Peter Bergmann? Who was he really? Do you think he went there to take his own life, or was he just intending to have a midnight swim and then he just had a heart attack? Seems a funny time to have a midnight swim, really. But you know what? We do it here in Spain, but I mean, that's in July and August when it's lovely and warm, I wouldn't want to do a midnight swim, even in the summer in that, place like that. It'd still be cold, wouldn't it? Yeah, that is the mysterious, sad final days of Peter Bergmann. Leave me a comment to let me know what you think happened and who he was. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please think about subscribing if you're not subscribed already, if you want to see more videos like this. And yeah, I'll see you soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Thank you.